Hey folks, it's Rob from Rob's Movie Collection, and I finally got around to doing this video. It's something I've been talking about for a while, and I've mentioned it in some of my videos in passing here and there, and in the comments people have always said, yeah, we'd love to see that. So I'm going to show off some of my record albums, and to kind of go with the theme of the channel, they're going to be movie soundtrack records and scores and stuff. These are original vinyl records, and not like, ooh, I went to Barnes & Noble and I want, ooh, that old Gitchy type of vinyl from back in the day. No, I'm old. This is from, the 70s and the 80s mostly, and, hey, I just saw this great movie called Star Trek II, and I like the music, and you run out to Warehouse Music and you buy it. So these are our originals. Yeah, let's get started. Well, first of all, I'm going to start with one that I actually didn't really technically buy myself. This is one that I've had since I was a little kid. My parents bought this for me, so they just wanted me to hear the Disney songs because that's, I was a little kid. So this is from the, I don't know, late 60s, 70s, oh here, 1968, I believe. And it has all the songs from up to that point, what was the Disney movies and Mary Poppins stuff, and and all that. So I guess technically this would be my first soundtrack record, even though I didn't buy it, really didn't know about it. But I used to sing those songs all the time, of course. And then I got a couple of these compilation albums. You're a kid and you don't have a lot of money, and you save up when you can and you try to get what you can, and you only have a certain amount that you can spend on. I came across this. It's got all these different themes. I don't think they're originals. They usually don't turn out to be the original recordings. It's usually some other band or something, or the whatever band that that does. It always kind of sounds off, when you listen to it. It's like, this sounds kind of weird. It doesn't sound like the one that I like, that I'm used to. But I've had this one for a long time with this weirdo spaceship on there. So Peter Pan Records. I don't know. Oh, there you go. The Now Sound Orchestra, whatever that is. Not the London Symphony Orchestra for sure. Here's another one. Film classics with Ordinary People, The Elephant Man, Legend of the Lone Ranger, Apocalypse Now. I honestly don't even remember buying this. I'm not sure where I got it from. I just remember it being in the collection somewhere, and maybe in my parents' collection. I don't know, but I got it. Okay, and here's a little weird one. I've got some weird stuff here. Airplane. Now, thank God it's only a record. This isn't really, wow, the dust. Whew. This isn't really so much the soundtrack or the score, because it's got comedy dialogue from the movie. So it's actually one of those story records where they go through the movie and you hear all the dialogue and it goes along with. So it's not really an official score or anything. It's just, and back in the day, before we had streaming and cable and physical media at home and all that stuff, you could take what you could, and it was kind of cool to be able to listen to the movie when you put this on. So it was kind of neat, so I was okay with it. And of course the classic American Graffiti soundtrack, which has got all the great songs from the movie. Those 50s and 60s songs. This is a weird one. It kind of opens up at the top like that, so in order to really see it, you have to put it upside down. But it's got all the songs from the movie, if you remember George Lucas's American Graffiti, Rock Around the Clock, 16 Candles, Fannie Mae Runaway at the Hop, just a whole bunch of good stuff here. And next up, a classic, Back to the Future. Now, these are just my vinyl albums. I got a lot more on CD, and even some on cassettes. And at the time, when you're a kid, you get what you can, the money that you have. Sometimes the cassette is cheaper, sometimes the album. Also, more dust. Also, in the 80s, those of you who are old enough to remember, we had Walkmans. So sometimes you would get the cassette because you would want to carry it around with you. Or you'd have to make a cassette version of your album. But this is Back to the Future, the first movie with Power Love by Huey Lewis and the News. I actually have 2 and 3, but those I do have on cassette. And if you guys do want to see those and see the rest of my collection even on CD, you can let me know in the comments. But I thought I'd start out with this. Robert Zemeckis film, and of course the music is by, oh great, I'm blanking on his name. Come on, he's here somewhere. Well, he's not. I don't know where he is, but you guys remember his name. What the heck is this guy's name? Alan Silvestri. Silvestri, yeah. Great composer. Great. He also did The Predator. Or Predator, I should say, not The Predator. Of course, Batman, composed by Danny Elfman. This one was kind of a hard one to find, I remember at the time, because the popular one was the Prince one, and I almost came close to buying that one, and then I flipped it around and noticed, it was all these Prince songs, which are fine, but I wanted the score. And I don't think this came out at the same time. I think this took a while to come out, and finally when it did, I was very happy to be able to get this one and still listen to it. There are certain albums that I've replaced a lot, on others. Got this on CD, of course, as well. So if I ever do show my CD, if you guys want to see my CDs, you may see a lot of repetition. Well, not a lot, but some. Beverly Hills Cop. This was a very big, popular album. Got that at Tower Records for $6.99. Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard, back when I lived in Hollywood. This is a very big album. All these guys, Glenn Frey, Patti LaBelle, Pointer Sisters, a really good album. Even by Danny Elfman. Oh, I didn't realize that. No, it can't be Danny Elfman because I thought it was Axel. Oh, no, Axel Foley was just one song. Anyway, got a lot of great songs. New Attitude, Neutron Dance, Heat Is On, Stir It Up, just Axel F. A lot of great songs here. And this was one of the biggest soundtrack albums, and that was the thing you had to kind of like get through your head. There was a soundtrack album, and then there was a score, the musical score. Sometimes you can call the score the soundtrack album, but usually when they refer to soundtrack albums, they refer to the ones with the music from the artist that contributed to the movie. The Black Hole. This is music by the great John Barry. I like this movie a lot. A lot of people put it down, but I really like this movie, and I love the soundtrack. It's just a great soundtrack. What stood out for me when I first saw it, or when we all went to see it, was how different they portrayed space, because we were used to the way Star Wars was, and this just had a lot more stars, and it had colors, and and all that stuff, and it just was so different. But this was a fine movie. I liked it a lot. It had some great robots, of course, all influenced by Star Wars. But Vincent, yeah, I loved Vincent. And I kept saying, that's Roddy McDowall, Roddy McDowall. And they're like, no, it doesn't say anywhere that it's Roddy McDowall. I'm telling you, it's Roddy McDowall. I know Roddy McDowall. I know him from the Planet of the Apes movies. Damn it. Clash of the Titans, a really, really good soundtrack by Lawrence Rosenthal. This is Ray Harryhausen's last film in '82, I believe. First time I ever saw Maggie Smith. Look at her there from Downton Abbey and from Harry Potter. Yeah, this is a great album. I really enjoy this one a lot. I listen to this one a lot. I still listen to this at work. And there's something about this. I always liked these plastic slip covers, because the paper ones, yeah, they were more stiff and easier to get in and out of, but they tear after a while whenever you put the album in and out. The best ones were the combination, because sometimes they had these combinations of the paper on top of this, and those are perfect. Those would last a long time. But I prefer that one. And here you go, Close Encounters of the Third Kind by the great John Williams. A lot of these big movies, the blockbusters especially, had these wonderful, and this is especially true with John Williams stuff, double album. I'll you'd open it up like that. I don't think this is actually a double album. It opens up like it was a double album, but it's actually just one album. But the ones like Star Wars and all that stuff. And see, here's a paper one. So it's definitely easier to get in and out of, but you have to be careful because it'll rip. There you go. I can do a whole video on John Williams, and I probably will someday, but he's just amazing the way he does main titles and so many themes, and he always weaves into, when you get to the end credits, you always got all the different themes right in there, and this is a great album. Fantastic, one of his best. People talk about this one a lot, but it's good. Conan the Barbarian. Oh my God, the dust. Jeez, sorry about that. How long has it been since I've played these? Yeah, because there's a turntable anymore. It's kind of hard to. Basso Polidoros. This is a great album. This is just listen to the crap out of this one. Another paper slipcover there. See, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, great album, great painting there. The Anvil of Crom is a great Riddles of Steel, Riddles of Doom, just a fantastic album, and I still listen to this one at home. It's always fun to when this one comes on at work, because I'm doing passports and suddenly the dun 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 comes on. It makes for a very dramatic passport experience that they will never forget. Again, John Williams. You're going to see a lot of John Williams here because he's my favorite composer, and he was, the 70s and the 80s. He was the man. But we have E.T. the Extraterrestrial, of course. One of his best, one of his most emotional soundtracks, and when you listen to it, it's just, especially the last one, the Adventure at Earth, when they get to the end and he leaves. It's just very emotional. The great thing about soundtracks, especially the John Williams ones, is that they really evoke the movie so much. And some of these I can, especially the Superman one, I know exactly what's going on in the film when I listen to any piece of music. I know exactly. It's just like playing it over in my head. That's why I don't have, even though it's John Williams, I never got the soundtracks to the sequel Star Wars films, and I'm not going to get the one to Indiana Jones. It's a shame. It's just another betrayal and another thing that sucks about those films and how Disney messed them up, that I can't even listen to those albums, even though it's my favorite composer, because I certainly don't want to think about those movies. Flash Gordon, a great soundtrack by Queen. This one has a plastic slipcover on the outside. I think I might have put that on there at some point. Sometimes, if I'm not mistaken, yep, some of these came with inserts. So here you've got the great Ming. Take a good look at Ming, folks. You're never going to see him like that again. Certainly if they ever make a Flash Gordon movie again, you're never going to see him like this because of the political correctness that we live in. That would be accused of the Yellow Menace stereotype and just all this other bullshit. Whoops. See? That's what I'm talking about. It's ripping. I think I have to put some tape on it. But, yeah, it's great to see all the characters. Future James Bond there. Melody Henderson is just so beautiful. Flash Gordon himself. And, yeah, there's Ming again. So you got that. Oh, yeah. And there's the members of Queen. Yeah. Yeah, I love the ones that came with these little inserts. I always try to keep all that in there. There he is. Flash Gordon. Awesome. I think I might even have this one on CD maybe somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe not. No. They're kind of hard to get, some of those, even on CD. And here is one of the biggest albums from the 80s, bar none. Yep, the Footloose soundtrack. Boy, was this big. Oh my God, this was huge. Beyond huge. It's just one of those really, really big ones. So, Footloose, Dancing in the Sheets, Let's Hear It for the Boy, Almost Paradise. All that side are all hits that made it to the radio. Holding Out for a Hero, I'm Free, Girl Gets Around, Somebody's Eyes. Now, it's just constant hits. All songs that made it onto the radio in different ways. not my favorite movie of all time, but I have to say, whenever I get really angry, I do have to go to a bar and just dance it out, because, you know, that's what you do. Thank you, Kevin Bacon. Another big album and big movie, the Ghostbusters soundtrack, of course. Here you go. I should stop and dust these before I show them off. Jeez, I'm going to start sneezing. Yeah, great album. Now this one is a combination of actual soundtrack, score, and of course songs, and it's got a lot of good songs on there, including the Ghostbusters song itself. And look, this one's coming apart, so yeah, I got to glue that one on. But yeah, this is a great soundtrack. I love this one. This is going to take forever. I better kind of speed it up. Now, this next one is by far one of the biggest soundtrack albums ever, along with one other one which I also have and I'll show later. But this one, boom, Grease. Who didn't have this album back in the day? I mean, good lord, this was huge, along with the movie, of course. Just such an amazing soundtrack, and it's a great soundtrack. Like, every single song on the album is a great song. It's so listenable, and of course it was huge, and it's a double album. This one actually is a double album there, with all those pictures and those songs, and it comes with the you know, stuff like that, all this information, and there. Side 2, 3, 4. It's got, oh my god, this is a great album. I really played this one. I got on CD as well. And CDs are great. They're fine, you know, but they could fit everything onto one disc, which is great. But you don't get this. You don't get the, you know, open this up, and it was just a lot of fun to. It just made you feel like you really had something, you know. I'm getting so nostalgic. More Williams, Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, just one of the greatest soundtracks to one of the greatest films. Back in the day, before Disney ruined it, when they had respect for this character, and when Harrison Ford had respect for this character. You bastard. But this is a great album. Sometimes the albums, and you would think that this would be a double album, but it's not actually. It's not. It's just a one-time thing here. Nothing really big or special about it. Doesn't even on the inside, no, you know. But you know, it was the first film. Maybe they figured, they didn't know if it was going to be a hit or not. So they didn't want to. You know, the company didn't want to spend money on it. I don't know, but it's a great album, and I think it's probably true. If this has kind of moved around a little bit, it suddenly jerked around. It's because I have these albums on the floor in front of my tripod, and they just fell over and knocked everything over. So I'm filming this part again. But that'll be for my blooper video. But anyway, what I was saying was, yeah, I don't think Raiders was a huge hit. So, what am I saying? Of course it was a big hit, but I don't think they thought it was going to be a hit, or maybe they didn't know, so they didn't spend a lot of money on the album. But then it was a big hit, and Temple of Doom came out, and here we got a double open up thing. Now this, of course, is not actually a double album thing. It's, you know, they make it seem like it is, but it's not. And they got a little writing by Steven Spielberg here. Short Round Oscar winner, Mrs. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, there you go. Of course. And this one actually does have something here. An insert. I love inserts. I love inserts both in DVDs and in albums. And this one is a big one. Open it up. And you had all these pictures from the movie. Now, it may not seem like this was a very exciting thing to us back in the day, because you got to remember it's the 80s and there was no internet, and you couldn't just like, oh, I want to look up pictures on the latest Indiana Jones. So to get these pictures, that was amazing. It's like, oh, look, we had maybe just gone to see the film, and you couldn't look up clips on the internet, and there was nothing. If you wanted to see clips, you had to go watch the movie again. So it was really cool to see this and to have this and have access to that. That was just great. That was a big bonus for us, and very exciting. So that's kind of like still a single album. Well, they're all single albums. And then we go, of course, to Last Crusade. And that was weird because Last Crusade is back to still a single album, but it doesn't open up or anything. It doesn't have anything special on it, which is kind of weird. I mean, by this time we knew that they were big hits, or maybe because of the reception of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, that it was kind of dark or something. I don't know why these companies do stuff. I don't think it has anything. Let's see. There's something in here, but I don't think. Yeah, Lucasfilm Fan Club. There you go. I never joined it. But here are some indie computer games. I just keep all this stuff in there because I don't know. Why not? What's am I gonna do with it? I have to throw away stuff. So, but great album, of course, as usual. Very cool. I should replace those. Let's see. Oh, we got some James Bond. James Bond's greatest hits. Every time there's a new James Bond movie, they come out with another one of these greatest hits albums, which is basically the same songs they've had on the previous albums, in addition to one, whatever the latest new James Bond movie is. So when I got this one, 20 original tracks. So I had all of these, not necessarily 20 movies, but I think this one went all the way up to For Your Eyes Only, and they have a couple of, let's see, 007, that's just, from Thunderball as well. So you got 2 from Thunderball there. But Underneath the Mango Tree, these first 3 are from Dr. No, so that's why it comes out to 20. But basically, it was up to For Your Eyes Only. And then they had the James Bond theme there. So, but yeah, it's a good album. I always like the James Bond themes. And guess what? That's right, another John Williams there, of course, John Williams. Yeah, great soundtrack. I don't have to say much about this soundtrack. This is fantastic. Right there. And what do we have here? Nothing. Just ads for something else. So, that's great. Be careful here it doesn't fall again. Well, Bamba, big debut of Lou Diamond Phillips. The story of oh my God, this guy, Richie Valens. Damn it. Yeah, Mr. Esai Morales, who I think is in a current film right now, isn't he? What film is he in? He's in something. Because I remember thinking, oh look, I haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, mostly done by Los Lobos. Really good, good album. It's Brian Setzer there. Yeah, very good. I like this album a lot. Just listen to it a lot. Lady Hawk, yeah. Lady Hawk, yeah, this Richard Donner film. I love Richard Donner. Really, really good movie. I think I got this at Tower 2. The soundtrack was a little bit different. Composed by Andrew Powell, performed by the Philharmonic Orchestra. So you do have some of that, but it was really different. Kind of threw me off at first, but I've gotten used to it. It's like the soundtrack to Legend by Tangerine Dream. It was strange at first, and it had to grow on you. But now I couldn't see it any other way. If it didn't have the soundtrack, it would not be Lady Hawk to me. So there you go. There's another double album, Lord of the Rings, and not the Peter Jackson, but the original Ralph Bakshi, composed by Leonard Rosenman. Rosenman. This is definitely a double album one. There you go. This beautiful painting there, and yeah, I don't think this has anything different in it, but. Great soundtrack. I really like it a lot, actually. And boy, they put a lot into it. 4 albums. I remember seeing this movie for the first time, and I had read Lord of the Rings, and I was so excited. And of course, it doesn't really finish. It just goes to 2 of the films. And they were never able to finish it. But the soundtrack is really good. Leonard Rosenman will pop up again a little bit later. The Natural. Now, I'm not into sports, but sports movies, sure, because it's a movie, so it's more about the movie. And this is probably my favorite baseball movie. I haven't seen a lot of baseball movies, but I like this one a lot. And I think probably it has to do with the little fantasy aspect that it has. Uh, Composed by Randy Newman. Some really, really great tracks on this one. I really like it a lot. And I enjoyed this one a lot. And the movie. The movie's really good. It's a good movie. You should do that one. Oh, Mr. Bond again. Octopussy. By the great John Barry, who is synonymous with James Bond soundtracks and scores. Yeah, he kind of set the standards. That's why I like David Arnold so much when he did Tomorrow Never Dies, and he was the modern day Bond composer for a while, because he really tipped his hat to John Barry a lot. And this is a great soundtrack, and this is a great Bond movie. It's one of my favorite Roger Moore Bond films, one of my favorite Bond films of all time. Of course, Roger Moore is my favorite James Bond. Okay, what do you know what it says? Now here's one that I don't see a lot of people have. The soundtrack to Popeye. Oh god, this dust is starting to get to me. Popeye was one of Robin Williams' early films, as you can see. And Shelley Duvall, my god, I saw her the other day. Good lord, I don't know what happened to her, but boy, if there has ever been a perfect casting, there it is. Shelley Duvall as Olive Oyl. As far as I know, the only live-action version of this adaptation of this character, and I thought Robin Williams did a great job. I don't think this did well, but I thought it was great, and I liked the music a lot. It's got all these songs in there. It's basically a musical. I liked it a lot, and I still do. I have a friend who is one of those people that just does not like musicals because he can't wrap his head around the fact that characters in a movie will suddenly start singing. And I try to explain, it's fantasy, you know. I was like, nope, can't get it. Except for this movie. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a love of Robin Williams, but this one he loves, despite the singing. So yeah, it's great. And I don't think it has anything in there. But yeah, Popeye is great. And this here, if you've ever seen the movie, and I should actually do a video on this, maybe I'll do this one for the movie of every year of my life one. This town of Sweet Haven, they actually built it in Malta, and it's still there. So they kept it as a tourist place. So now, I was talking about Grease being one of the two biggest albums around. Well, here's the second one. Yeah, that's right. Dust. Saturday Night Fever. Oh boy. And this one. Yeah, without a doubt, a double album one. Travolta in all his glory, right there, singing and dancing, and well, not singing but dancing. What a fantastic album, and the Bee Gees are, I mean, look at that. The Bee Gees are focused on more than Travolta himself, but just every track is just a classic track, and boy, I listen to this one a lot. Still do, because this is just amazing. A lot of people put disco down back in those days. I never really understood why. I was pretty young, but I always liked it. I never thought, it's not meant to be music that's great music to be listened to, like with the lyrics and what it says. It was dance music, and it worked pretty well. But these guys are just, I'm not even going to go into it. I'll go on and on about the Bee Gees, but they're pretty awesome. Singing in the Rain. I was pretty obsessed with this. This is actually my favorite musical of all time. I love MGM musicals, and I like The Innocents, and this one is a great one, and it's by far my favorite musical of all time. And it's some great songs. Yeah, Singing in the Rain, of course, Fit as a Fiddle, All I Do Is Dream of You, Make 'Em Laugh, just fantastic. Okay, now going where no one has gone before. Star Trek. So, Star Trek the Motion Picture. Look at that beautiful Bob Peak illustration. I always loved that one. I was wondered why that wasn't McCoy, but of course they have Ilea in there. In 1979, this of course was the result of, they were able to get this going because of Star Wars. It was so popular. A lot of people put this one down, but I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, it's definitely a slow burn, but well, I won't talk about the film because by the great Jerry Goldsmith. Jerry Goldsmith is just easily my second favorite, very close to John Williams. But his body of work is just beyond amazing. Okay. Of course, Star Trek 2. Star Trek 2, James Horner took over the music, and not the best cover for the album. I'm not sure why they kind of cheapened on that one. I mean, it's a great shot of the Enterprise. I love the Enterprise. It's a great ship, but when you had that beautiful Bob Peak illustration there, and I think he actually did one for Star Trek 2 as well, and for some reason they didn't use it, which sucks. But the soundtrack is amazing. It's just a great soundtrack. James Horner. James Horner was incredible. You know him from so many other albums, other movies, and Titanic, and I think he might have done Avatar as well. A lot of James Cameron stuff. James Horner had a very, all composers have fingerprints, and you hear little similarities to, like if you listen to 1941, you can actually hear a little bit of the Superman theme, and then what become the Superman theme in there. James Horner did that a lot. I mean, his fingerprints were a lot easier to spot. But this is the one that, at least to me, is just so good and all that. I tend, whenever I hear the similarities in other soundtracks, I'm like, oh, that's a little bit of Star Trek 2 there. It was Star Trek 2. So, sorry if this video is going too long. And then Star Trek 3 came along, also with James Horner, and the cover was better, not the best, kind of weird, but I didn't hate it. But you got with Klingon Krug, Captain Krug, played by Christopher Lloyd. Okay, Captain Kirk. Oh, Gidok. Jeez. But he played a great Klingon. He was good. Beautiful picture of the two spaceships, Enterprise and the Klingon Bird of Prey. I thought that was really awesome to see them up close like that. Yeah, this is a great soundtrack. I like it a lot. It's got some beautiful music, especially with the Genesis planet and the resurrection of Spock and all. And of course, some of the best soundtrack. Stealing the Enterprise is a wonderful track, and of course, the Bird of Prey decloaks. And when we had our Comic-Con at my library years ago, and I put together an 8-hour Comic-Con mix that we played, throughout the day, outside and inside and all. Definitely put a couple from here, for sure. I love James Horner, of course. And then Star Trek 4 came along. Not a big fan of this cover. I'm like, what is that? There is another Bob Peak poster, which they didn't use. Leonard Rosenman again, the guy that did Lord of the Rings. This soundtrack, when I first heard it, was not my favorite. This one definitely had to grow on me. A lot of people cite this as one of their favorite, or if not their favorite, and the best of the Star Trek films. Yes, it's good. But when I go to see a Star Trek film, I want to see the future. I don't want to see my backyard, So and it is a good movie, and it's a good story. And the soundtrack grew on me eventually, and it kind of feels like, well, yeah, if it's set back in the day, I guess that soundtrack kind of works pretty well for it. But definitely not Goldsmith or Horner. I prefer them. And back to Goldsmith and Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Of course, and look at that beautiful poster. I think this is Bob Peak. It certainly looks like him, or at least somebody who's trying to imitate him. But yeah, go for the nice, illustrations. I don't know why they don't do that on the other ones. But of course, Star Trek V is definitely known as not one of the best But the soundtrack is just fantastic because Jerry Goldsmith is always great, and he did an amazing job on this one as well. Really, really brings up the film for sure. Okay, we're gonna go into the other Star Wars. Now I'm starting with Empire, and the reason for that is because I actually do not have the original Star Wars soundtrack. Hey, you know what? It's 1977. I was 11. I mean, didn't have a lot of money. Somehow, it just didn't get around to it. Didn't have the money for it. A friend of mine had it, and I said, oh, "Can I borrow it?" And I'll copy it over, and I'll record it onto cassette tape, and that's pretty much how I listened to it. I've got it now, of course, on a couple of times on CD, but the original soundtrack I never got, and I always kind of regretted that. But by 1980, I had saved up my money, knowing this was coming, and I was able to get this one. And of course, this is what I'm talking about, the big double album ones. This, they really put, oh my God, I really need to dust these. I have not taken these out in a while. This they put effort into. I mean, look at this. Not only do you have the pictures here, but you actually have like a little booklet here that shows you all this stuff here. See that? Pictures on the movie. And again, as I was saying earlier, we didn't have access to internets or anything like that. So for us to see this, it's like, wow, amazing. All this access to clips from the film, and and often after a while, these soundtrack albums would come out before the movie. So sometimes you would just get this first before you even saw the movie, before it premiered, and you'd be looking at all these pictures and, oh my God, what's it? And it would get you really hyped up, which does probably the reason they did it. And then by the time I actually think I got this album first before I saw the movie, and I was just like hyped up. I miss being hyped up for stuff like this. Gosh, now nothing gets me excited related to Star Wars or Indiana Jones or anything like that. Little interview with John Williams, even credits the London Symphony Orchestra musicians. It's really great. And then you got the descriptions of the music that was used in every one of these tracks. It's just a fantastic, fantastic album. This is one of the best of the Star Wars albums. They really put a lot of effort into this one. And then came Jedi, of course, Return of the Jedi. It's here, it's John Williams. It opens up like a double album, but again, not a double album, just a single album. And I remember being really disappointed at that, because after the first Star Wars was a double album, one, and then Empire with that insert and all was a double album. I was like, I was chomping at the bit. I was looking forward to, all right, 2 albums, and then it opened up, and I was like, yeah, and then wait a minute, there's nothing here. This is 1 album. So I was very, very disappointed by that. Music was great, of course. It's, not a problem. Except I did notice that he kind of repeated himself a little bit, like with the whole Jabba crater thing, that escape. That was just, he repeated some of the music from the first film. So now, years later, when they released this on CD, they actually did release a double album CD where they included a lot of the takes that they didn't use in this album for some reason. So we have the original Lapti-Nek before. This is, of course, pre-special edition. So, that's another... The album tends to go all the way here, and it kind of gets in the way of closing sometimes. I don't know why. Maybe that's just my album. And one last Star Wars thing. I had this from the days of Star Wars. The Story of Star Wars. Now, every once in a while back in the day, again, this is before physical media and stuff, you'd get these soundtrack, these story albums, like the Airplane one, where this is basically the movie on an album disc. So you just hear the dialogue, and it's basically the movie. And it's narrated by Roscoe Lee Browne, this great Shakespearean actor. I used to have an insert here. I think it might. Yeah, here it is. Now, again, I was really young, so I did that for some stupid reason. I just say, oh, I'm going to write all the... Totally mess that up. Yeah, I don't know. I was a youngster and I was an artist. But, yeah, we got all this stuff, which is great. All the characters there. Spaceships. It's great stuff. They shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure. It's great. Great stuff. Yeah, this one is pretty used. I mean, not just the writing on the front, but you can tell. I don't know if you can tell from there, but yeah, I really looked at this a lot. Another thing is that during this time, a friend of mine and I would do these little audio dramas. I would write them, and we would act in them like the old 40s, you know, radio dramas. But of course we would do, because we were so like into Star Wars and stuff, I would write, you know, these science fiction stories that had spaceships and stuff. And a lot of the sound effects that we used, because it wasn't no internet, it wasn't like you could just go online and get sound effects. A lot of the sound effects came off of this album. That's why it's so used, just over and over again. And a spaceship, or even something simple as a door closing or opening, you would get it from here. Okay, this reached like an hour yet. Supergirl, another Jerry Goldsmith album. This is a really good album. I like this one. They don't make hero music the way they used to. You know, there's not a lot of themes that you can... There's been so many hero movies, but it's really hard to... I think maybe the last one I can remember is the Avengers theme. I can kind of hum that, but this one is a great one. He did a great theme for Helen Slater, to fly around, and it's also one of my favorite superhero movies of all. Speaking of which, the gold standard. That's it for me. My favorite movie of all time, and goes without saying, my favorite soundtrack of all time, and the best superhero theme bar none. I mean, talk about heroic. What a great combination of, you know, you got Christopher Reeve with this theme. It's amazing. Everything that Henry Cavill is not. Okay, so something, I don't know if somebody or something is trying to tell me not to make this video, but things keep messing up. My camera ran out of power, so I had to plug it in. So, but damn it, I'm pissed off now and I want to finish this. So, I'm so near the end. And hopefully you've been able to stick around. Anyway, as I said, my favorite soundtrack of all time, and this is definitely a double album. And here you go, the man himself, Christopher Reeve. Just a beautiful shot there, man. Look at that. I was so excited when I saw that. That's just freaking amazing. Again, this is in the 78, so we didn't have internet or anything, I repeat. And this one, let's see what it has here. This one has one of those paper slips with, yeah, plenty of pictures there. It's great stuff. You got I think it's got the early stuff here, so you got the time on Krypton, and you know, with the Smallville and all that. And then on the other side, as you can imagine, come on out. We've got the Metropolis stuff and the stuff when he's Superman, some of the Smallville stuff. But it was great to see all these shots of him over there. And Valerie Perrine, it's Valerie. I actually met her when I was working as an antique restorer. We went over and we restored some of her things in her apartment. It's a really nice lady. Great movie, and just an amazing soundtrack, which I still listen to. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I know every track on this, and I know exactly what's going on. And this one I have twice because I came across another one. I just bought this, also dusty. Uh, every time I would switch over to a new form of media for listening, audio media, from this to cassettes to CDs, the very first thing I would buy would be the soundtrack from Superman the movie. It's just fantastic. Definitely my favorite. And then, of course, I got the soundtrack to Superman 2. Now, after the spectacular double album that we had here, I was somewhat disappointed that this was just a single album. And what I didn't realize at the time was that it was actually done by Ken Thorne, this guy Ken Thorne. It wasn't John Williams who did the music. Now, of course, his themes are used in here. You have to use his themes. There's no way around it. Thank God. But it was essentially done by this guy named Ken Thorne, who did a good job. But, when you're thinking of John Williams and you got the amazing themes that he made, that's what you want, And so I was disappointed that it wasn't a 2-album deal. But here's something about it, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but they ended up, this will be kind of hard to see, I don't know if it shows up or not, but there are these little Superman S's all over here. You may not be able to see it. Trust me, they're there, though. They're kind of, yeah. They're just like all the way around here in the album. It's pretty kind of cool. That's why I try to take care of this one a lot. But it's got one of the plastic slips, which is good. So, yeah, it's a good album, too. I listen to that one a lot. We're almost there. Hang on. Twilight Zone the movie. Twilight Zone the movie, of course, is well known. It's infamous for the big accident that happened where actor Vic Morrow and 2 young children were killed by a helicopter. They were just cut in half. It was terrible. During the John Landis sequence. A lot similar to what happened with the whole Rust thing with Alec Baldwin, except this one was so much more horrible. But the Twilight Zone movie was a series of 4 vignettes made by different directors, Spielberg being one of them. But good music, though. Did the music, was it Jerry Goldsmith? It didn't say on the cover here. Yeah. I want to say Jerry Goldsmith. Yep, Jerry Goldsmith. Here are the directors: Spielberg, Miller, Landis, and Joe Dante. And it's a good album. It's got, of course, it's got the Twilight Zone theme in there, but really, really good. I really liked it a lot. West Side Story, a great album here. I've got this one on CD too. This one, of course, I didn't get at the time when the movie came out. I got this after the fact, after I got into this movie. And, or actually, you know what? This actually might have been in the family already. I think my parents actually had this. Yeah, I think they had this, and I just kind of like inherited it. And then later I bought it on CD as well. But opens up as a double. It's not a double, it's a single one here. So you just have the one there. There's the 2 lovers back there. But a lot of great information here, about the movie, and just a lot to read there, and pictures and stuff. It's really good. Yeah, I think my parents had it, and I just kind of took it over. Once I saw the movie, I was obsessed with it for a while. And then finally, we're almost done. You're almost free to go and live your lives. One more James Horner, Willow. What a great album. I love this album. I think it's probably my second favorite next to Star Trek II of James Horner's music. A great adventure theme there they've had, and beautiful themes for Willow and Laura Dannon. It's just fantastic. I love this album, and I love this movie, and I was so disappointed that they messed up the series, but also not surprised because it's Disney. But a great album, and I really enjoyed it a lot. There you go. Those are my soundtrack albums. Sorry this inevitably went so super long. And all the technical difficulties, but there you go. I do have other albums, of course, on vinyl, music albums with artists. If you do want to see those, I'd be happy to show them to you. If you do, please leave leave that in the comments, and I'll consider doing that. And if you want to see the CDs I have too, yeah, I'll show you that as well. I do have some other soundtracks, movie soundtracks on CD that I don't have on albums, and some repeats too. But I can always show you that. Maybe not right away. Let me spread these out a little bit. But yeah, there you go. So hope you enjoy that, or hope some of you, if any of you have these as well, let me know. And yeah, keep listening to those soundtrack from movies and movie scores. Yeah, it's late. Bye, you guys.